It's been an uphill battle for the Phillies all day today for our PHLY Phillies watch along. We hung with you for the pregame show. We've hung with you for the watch along, and now we're hanging for the postgame show. Welcome into the PHLY Phillies show presented by Bet365. You can download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Tyler, Zulli, myself, Renee, Washington, and shout out to all of you that have been hanging tight with us all day today. 10-6, top of the ninth. Phillies got some crawling back to do. First one in the chat on YouTube, none other than our Dodgers fan, our LA sports fan, BC. Tyler, do you think they can do it? Yes or no? Money, if your life is on the line, are you trusting the Phillies to make the comeback?
Not tonight. No, I'm not. I would have taken the Mets on the money line today. I would have taken the Mets on the run line today. Not in the way that I expected it to be a high-scoring game. I did expect, obviously, them to get to Taijuan Walker. We talked a ton about him in the in-game. I know we have to talk about him again. I don't really want to, but no, to answer your question, no, I don't believe they win this game tonight.
The world is coming to an end, and you have to choose red pill, blue pill. Phillies, Mets. You're going with the Mets.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yes. Tonight, yeah, we're going with the Mets to win this game. I was going with the Mets to win this game.
I just want to make it as dramatic as possible.
I went with the Mets to win this game 4 hours ago.
You did, actually. I had 6-4 as my prediction, and the Phillies are at 6. That part was right. And technically, I feel like I'm on I have to be very, very upfront. I'm a child when it comes to certain things. And right now I feel like I am on a sugar high and I am on a screen time high. And I wish I could say that I was either actually high or have been drinking. And that was the reason. But I'm feeling like I'm in La La Land right now because we've been on the show together for like hours and hours. Final score, the Phillies do lose 10-6 to the Mets. I had 6-4 as my prediction. Little did I know what I meant was 6 + 4.
Yeah, whatever helps you sleep it tonight, Renee.
So technically, I was kind of correct. My 6-4 prediction was correct in a way. It just was 6 + 4 was the final score.
It was
better than yours? What was your
I didn't give you a score. I just took the Mets to win the game.
Oh, see, at least I gave a score.
There's a lot of blame to go around tonight. I will give credit to the middle innings offense for fighting. It's really, really difficult when, you're down a couple runs and you try to crawl back and you immediately, your starting pitcher gives it right back. And every time you try to crawl back for 3 straight innings, your starting pitcher struggles. Taijuan Walker was terrible today. Taijuan Walker is the reason the Phillies lost this game. I know the bullpen gave up a couple of runs. Jose Ruiz gave up some runs. But Taijuan Walker is going to get saddled with the bulk of them today. I don't believe that he should throw another pitch for the Phillies in this season. Listen, they also struck out 12 times. That doesn't help. However, they did score 6 runs. So there's some semblance of positive to take away in that. You can't win a game when you give up 10 runs. It's really, really difficult. You really can't win a game when your starting pitcher is as bad as Taijuan Walker was tonight.
So my issue, and I'm going to actually piggyback off of Lisa's comment, as Lisa's mentioning, you finally get runs and the starting pitching is awful. This is the frustrating point. Last night, you had great pitching by Aaron Nola. 7 innings, gave up 1 run, leaves the mound. It's a 1-1 game, and we got no offense outside of Alec Boehm's home run. Today, you get 6 runs scored. Great 106.6 mile per hour home run by Trey Turner for 2 runs. You had Brandon Marsh contribute. The offense actually was there. 6 runs you score on a team that's been very up and down offensively, but you had Taijuan Walker on the mound. And I did hope that the offense would be able to help support and rally around Taijuan Walker. And you know what? They did rally. But it was frustrating because by the time he leaves the game after 3 1/3 innings, which you did predict correctly, had given up 7 runs behind 4 home runs. And it's really hard to continue clawing back. They were resilient. They were gritty. They fought hard, yada, yada, yada. They were just stacked. They were set up to fail. Yeah, honestly, this game was stacked against the Phillies from the open. Once you knew Taijuan Walker was going to start. Unfortunately, the fifth starter in general has been a guaranteed L at this point, it feels like, of let's just hope that they can give us 3 innings. That's where we're at. So it was hard because you do see with Trey Turner's 2-run home run, you tie the game up. You see with Brandon Marsh's RBI, you bring it back within 1. They just continue to try to fight, but after a while, you only got so much left in you when you just are constantly chasing the game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, right? They go down 2-0 early. They tie it up in the third. He immediately gives it back. It's 4-2. They get one back. We talked about, remember how we were talking about that run in the fourth? Like it could springboard them to something bigger. And it looked like for a while that they were, crawling back into it. They don't end up scoring the second run, but they make it 4-3. He immediately makes it 9-3. They get 3 in the seventh, and it's not like 9-6 is an insurmountable lead. It's 3 runs is certainly, you're certainly capable of coming back from that. You end up giving a run right back. Jose Alvarado gives up the run. It's 10-6. So like every time your offense tried to make a statement tonight and they scored, in 3 of the 9 innings, every single one of the innings, in the bottom half of those innings, the Mets scored runs back. So you score 2 in the third, they get 2. You score 1 in the fourth, they get 5. You score 3 in the seventh, they take 1 back. And then all of a sudden, the 4-run lead starts to feel insurmountable. You had 11 balls hit hard tonight. I think the total comes out to be 11 hard hit balls, 2 from Schwarber, 2 from Turner, 2 from Castellanos, 2 from Marsh. Now, that doesn't necessarily translate into hits, right? Because Turner only had the 1 hit. But you were putting some decent swings on the ball. The issue is the Mets had like 15 hard hit balls, and 10 of, I would say 7 or 8 of them came off Taijuan Walker. And he ends up getting saddled with 8 earned runs over 3 1/3. He gives up the 6 hits. Now, Jose Ruiz didn't do him any favors by surrendering those extra runs. And they get saddled to Taijuan Walker's run line. But he wasn't good. And it's really, really difficult as an offense to continue to try to mount a comeback when the guy that's on the mound and the offense that's opposite you is gonna take those runs right back that you staked the inning prior.
Very, very frustrating to say the least. To your point, Tyler, and as we're talking about, the reality is this team didn't get today. It was the offense that didn't get the support. It's typically the offense that's lagging and not providing any run support. Today, they didn't get that opportunity to go out and win the game. I know Aaron Nola talks about that. You want to lead the mound, giving your team a chance to win. The pitching didn't do that. And so that's the 3rd series in a row that the Phillies have dropped the opener. They had actually won 5 straight series openers going back to the Astros series. And then the last 3, including tonight's, they've now dropped. So that's 2 series opening losses against the Mets, if you're doing the math, since it was Mets, Brewers, Mets. And unfortunately, this is one that you give up that you really could have won. And even with how well Luis Severino pitched, even with how well the Mets played, the Phillies still could have won this game. Even after Taijuan Walker came off the mound, it's Jose Ruiz, it's Colby Allard, it's Jose Alvarado. It wasn't even a situation. And we thought that they were going to wave the white flag with pulling Taijuan Walker. They still were in the game. That 9th run was like the icing on the cake. But it also was just a bad game for Taijuan Walker, unfortunately. We talked about it, and some more numbers that have come out. Of course, the 4 home runs in 3 1/3 innings, as he was the number 5 starter. I know Lisa's talking about who's going to be next. We'll get there in a second. And with that, as he gave up the 7 runs, first 4 batters through, you knew you were in trouble when in the first inning, he gave up 2 solo home runs. That already had you feeling like, okay, this is not going to be great. So the Mets 1 through 4 hitters went, I think the final number was like 9 for 17 or something ridiculous, with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs. And with that, Taijuan Walker, I know Matt Gelb actually put this out, has a 6.80 ERA this season, which is the 2nd worst by a Phillies pitcher with 15 games started since 1931. Gotta chuckle when you get bad history in the making, dating back to 1931 for Taijuan Walker. And just frustrating because, as we mentioned, you set your team up. This now makes the game very annoying, to be honest. As a player, it's like, how do you even get motivated to go back out there and, all right, here we go again. And then every time you go out and crawl back, here comes some more home runs. And as I mentioned during our watch along, for those that tuned in, you had an actual situation where Taijuan Walker gave up 2 solo home runs and then proceeded to give up a 2 home run and then proceeded, this one here is driving me crazy, apologies, and then proceeded to give up a 3 home run. It's like, what's next? Are we going for a grand slam? How many home runs are you going to give up? So hopefully this is it that we really have to deal with, the Taijuan Walker struggles, because the Phillies have a good team, and it makes it hard to believe in their team when you have these glaring, frustrating things. Of course, this is not someone you'd see in the playoffs, but to Cuz 729's point, you're saying you're not feeling the magic with this team. There's a lot of people that are kind of feeling that way with the Phillies of, is this group the real deal? Can they continue? Can they survive through the playoffs with how they've been playing as of late?
Yeah, I think they can. I think tonight is not an example of that because, again, Taijuan Walker's not going to pitch in the postseason. Taijuan Walker's not going to make the postseason roster. No. But to go back to a point we were talking about on the in-game show today, Taijuan Walker now has 24 home runs allowed this season. He's thrown 82 innings. So he is effectively giving up a home run just about, actually under once every 4 innings. Because if you do that math, it's 48, that's 96. It's actually pretty significantly under once every 4 innings. We talked about this earlier. That is the 4th most home runs that he has allowed in a single season in his major league career. The next totals are 25, 26, and 27. Those years that he was with was giving up that many home runs, 29 starts, 25 starts, and 29 starts, 30 appearances, 169 and 2/3 innings, 134 and a third innings, 159 innings. He had given up 25, 26, and 27 over those spans. He's now given up 24 and 82 innings. We're basically talking about, at minimum, a guy who's given up the same amount of home runs in his worst home run allowance years with 50 less plus innings pitched. At minimum, 50 innings pitched. At the highest inning level, it's like 70 innings pitched. He's serving up way too many home runs, and we talked about it. The velocity is down. Actually, the velocity, and the funny thing is the velocity was actually pretty decent tonight. It was like 92.5 on average on the sinker. But the breaking balls just aren't nearly as sharp as they once were. The splitter, I think he threw the splitter tonight, I want to say about 6 times. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I actually ended up throwing it 14 times, which is more than he had been in the past, last couple of starts at least. The stuff's just not there anymore, and it's basically become batting practice for the opposition.
Oh, yikes. I mean, I know it comes down to the question of who is the number 5 starter. There's only, 2 more starts that they might have to make for a number 5 starter, or 1, I think, at this point, actually. It's very low. So I don't know who that person is, but it should not be Taijuan Walker. I think we've seen enough. I know everybody, I've seen a lot of comments in the chat regarding Taijuan Walker. He's about annoying as this one random hair that I have that's sticking off and driving me nuts. When you have a guy that's at this point has shown you what he is, he has continuously gotten worse. I know I keep saying that, and I just cannot get over when you look at his stats game by game. His ERA continues to drop. The amount of runs he's giving up. I mean, we were talking about his last inning. His last time starting was 6 innings he pitched, 6 runs given up, 0 Ks on 13 hits. Today, you gave up less hits, actually, but you also had 2 Ks in your 71 pitches, 2 Ks, and you also, in that stretch, gave up 7 runs off of 4 homers? We're actually moving in the wrong direction here, and yet he keeps getting put out. Did you cough?
I had a hair like dangling on my nose.
You took yourself off to fix the hair.
Yes.
But I was over here struggling with what's up with our hair lately.
Yeah, it's bad. And it was like getting to a point where I knew I was going to sneeze if I didn't move. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, for Taijuan Walker to have had this performance, we said this last start, August 28th, guys. I remember us in studio after that awful, awful game by Taijuan Walker saying, this should be it. What do the Phillies do with him next? They moved him to the bullpen. And that was what we thought, as we talked about on our show. We talked about with Jim Salisbury. We all kind of feel like it was like just a Band-Aid move, of a temporary move to figure out the long-term solution for Taijuan Walker. After having 3 innings, just 3, as a reliever for Kolby Allard, suddenly Rob felt comfortable in his velocity, in his command, and put him back as a number 5 starter. Granted, Kolby Allard did not pitch well either. There has not been a number 5 starter that we've seen pitch well. Seth Johnson, Colby Allard, Tyler Phillips, Michael Mercado, Taijuan Walker. Haven't seen
There
one.
was. He just hasn't pitched in 4 months. It was Spencer Turnbull.
Yeah, Spencer Turnbull is the number 5 that we don't have because he's still out. So that being said, you bring back Taijuan Walker, and he actually has a worse performance. My questions, I don't like conspiracy theories, but this has me feeling like, Taijuan, you can't possibly be this bad. Like, you can't. Are you every run you go out and you give another home run up after Phillies finally score, you go and give up another home run. Score again, you go up and give him another. I'm not saying he's out there throwing the games. I'm not saying he's out there intentionally throwing home runs, but you cannot possibly be this bad. And what makes it worse, though, is you're put in a position to even be this bad. That's what has me the most frantic. We should not see Taijuan Walker again. We said this a month ago, and yet here we are talking about Taijuan Walker again. I know in the chat you guys are saying, like, if he's back out there, Rob should be in the hot seat. The long-term solution for Taijuan is a plane ticket out of the city and a pink slip. At this point, it's September 19th. The Phillies are still 4 games away from clinching the NL East, I guess, is still the magic number. I don't even know at this point. You are still 1 win away from, obviously, a playoff spot, but you're still sitting in a good spot, number 1. There's no need to play Taijuan Walker again. There's just no need. And for the sake of this team, you should not put him out there for the pure fact that he is a guaranteed not only loss, it's not a good loss. It's frustrating. It's not great for the vibes. It's not great for the clubhouse. Can't be great for the team to go out there and see you are actually playing pretty well offensively, but you're watching Taijuan Walker handing out home runs left and right.
Well, and at some point, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when it was his first demotion out of the rotation. At some point, you almost feel bad for the guy because you know that he's cooked. We all know that he's cooked. He probably knows that he's cooked. And at some point, it just becomes you just don't have the skill set anymore to be a part of this rotation in a meaningful way. So when that moment hits, and I think it hit already before they demoted him to the bullpen, and it hit again tonight when you realize that he still is not a viable option as a starter. At that moment, the onus goes from, dude, you got to pitch better, to, hey, Topper, you got to stop throwing this guy.
Yeah.
And that's where the trouble starts, because if a player is struggling and you know that they have the capability of being better than what they are, it's kind of like a kick in the pants. Hey man, get it together.
For sure.
When a player is struggling and their ceiling is below major league caliber at this point, that is then on the organization and the manager to say, you're not pitching anymore. You're not pitching in spots. We're paying you regardless. We are in the thick of a playoff race in which we are still trying to not only clinch the division, but trying to get a bye in the first round. And maybe at one point get a 1 seed, which you still control the destiny of with 10 games to play. At some point, the onus goes on the manager and it goes on the organization to say, he's not pitching anymore. It's just flat out, he's not pitching anymore.
That's the issue. At this point, the Phillies still control their destiny. They don't need help. We're not talking about the Diamondbacks or the Braves or, the Tigers. The Phillies do not need help. They control their own destiny. And so it's up to them to actually be able to go out and close out this regular season stretch. And if you see Taijuan Walker back out there, what message does this send for a team that is on the brink of winning the NL East for the first time since 2011? On the brink of locking in a number 1 spot. I know in the chat you're mentioning how Adam B about wanting to really beat out the Dodgers for that number 1 seed. Absolutely.
Sure.
You want to get that home field advantage. You want playoff games, as many as possible, through Citizens Bank Park. First round bye, whatever you can get to win the World Series this year. What message does that send if you keep putting Taijuan Walker out there when he has shown us time and time again, he's not only bad, he's getting worse. It's one thing to be struggling, like Colby Allard, Seth Johnson struggled. Taijuan Walker is actually getting worse. And come game time, you cannot count on Taijuan Walker at all to help you win. But come game time, you know where you can go to make things a lot less stressful, because lately it's been a little bit stressful around here in Philly. Thank goodness the Philadelphia Union won Wednesday night over NYCFC. The Eagles Monday night, I was there. We're not going to talk about it. The Phillies tonight, we were there. We watched. We weren't physically there. We're not going to talk about it until we will. You can make sure to make the process of buying tickets less stressful. And I use the Game Time app actually to go to the link. I almost said Citizens Bank Park. To the link on Monday to see the Eagles. Still don't want to talk about it though. Lose to the Falcons. And the Game Time app did a tremendous job of not only helping the process of buying the tickets be easier, they provide some Game Time picks. With their picks, they actually give you super deals. They give you like the quickest updated version of the best prices on great seats. So they kind of mix and match some great seats and great prices for you to be able to check out. They also have with the Game Time app the lowest price guarantee, as well as some protection, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and super deals. They allow you to be able to check out your seats, which I loved because now you have a nice idea of what your view will be of the field, of the ballpark, of the court for any event, whether you're going to a comedy show, a concert, a playoff game, whether you're going to any game for that matter, a theater show, whatever you're looking to check out with the Game Time app, they also allow you to be able to check out a view of your seats through the app. So now you can easily browse through prices, easily browse through your seats. And then when you get to the door, and I did this myself, my tickets are right on my phone. I didn't have to worry about looking for paper tickets or Wi-Fi issues. I could easily scan my tickets, get inside, and start cheering on the Eagles, start having some fun. And then even after the game, they sent me a message of just to check in. How were things? Unfortunately, things were not good because the Eagles blew a game they should have lost. But it's fine because they've got the Saints this week and we're more optimistic. They will send you messages to update you on upcoming games. I was browsing some other tickets, looking at Phillies prices, looking at some other games. And the Game Time app was giving me updates via email and some alerts on my app of some new ticket prices to check out. So they're constantly communicating with you and working with you to make sure you can get great tickets, because they want to make sure that although the process of actually being at the game can be stressful, because let's be honest, sometimes these games are frustrating, you can absolutely take the stress out of buying tickets. I know, Lisa, you're saying you dealt with the time you were sitting behind a billboard and if you had the Game Time app, that would not have happened. So I'm so glad that we introduced it to you and everybody else. Head on over to the Game Time app today to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with the Game Time app. Download the app, create an account, use code PHLY, get $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Again, create that account, use that code PHLY for $20 off. And when you download the Game Time app today, you will have a lot less stress because what time is it? Game time.
Yeah, well, we had a lot of stress in this game today, and if you hung out with us during our in-game show, you knew that we didn't have a whole lot of snacks to choose from because Renee and I were kind of just sitting, waiting around for this game to mercifully end. But if we did have some snacks, I would have gone and gotten them from our friends over at Rite Aid and the LO Market, because the LO Market has everything that you need, from candy to snacks to pantry items. And you can find some items that are exclusively found at Rite Aid. So if you're taking a road trip, or if you're looking to snack during the game, or if you're like me, who's kind of gotten in the habit of once the game's over, of kind of decompressing at night and watching some shows. I just wrapped up Ted Lasso. I know. I was like 3 years too late. I finally got Apple, so I was watching Ted Lasso, and I like to snack. And I have some, maybe I have some goldfish, or I have some pretzels, or whatever the case may be. But you can get candy like peach rings and Starlight Mints. You can get different nuts and trail mix that are packed with vitamins, minerals, and healthy fats. Popcorn, beef jerky, granola, and any of your pantry staples, whether it may be a snack or it may be seasonings, or you might need some honey. Whatever the case may be, the LO Market at Rite Aid has you covered. And if you've got a snack attack, get LO Market delivered same day or buy online and pick it up in store. Go to riteaid.com/shop to order today.
All right. Well, as we're talking through the series opener, it's a 4-game series versus the Mets, and the Mets take game 1, 10-6. Phillies struggle behind Taijuan Walker. We're talking about it here on PHLY Phillies podcast, presented by Bet365, where it's never ordinary. Use code PHLY365 today. I don't have a lot of, outside of the pitching, when you really take a step back in this game, offensively, you go up against a solid pitcher in Luis Severino. We had actually talked about him in our pregame show because Luis Severino has been doing a tremendous job. Had a complete game shutout against the Marlins in his 5 starts since then. Went 2-0 with a 3.07 ERA. Again tonight, did really well. His strikeout rates for his fastballs have increased, and have improved by almost 3% higher than last season. He's been a bright spot for them. And for the Phillies to have had the home run by Trey Turner, which kind of opened things up a little bit, it was overall, when you look at this offense today, it was a solid performance. You just were literally dug into a hole with the poor start by or the poor game, I should say, by Taijuan Walker to start the game off on the wrong foot. So I know you guys are asking in the chat about, well, I see Mitchkov talk as well, but about just the overall talent of this team and expectations and how encouraged we are for them. And I know we can get into Ranger as well, as Adam B's asking about Ranger Suarez. In terms of the offense, I just feel like, to me, today was a sign they've got it. We know they have the talent. That's been the case all season. It just has been a situation, in my opinion, where they kind of are coasting. I hate to say it. I think they're coasting. Listen, they're pros. They love to win. I'm not saying they're intentionally not winning, but I think that there's not as much motivation in the same way, and they're maybe not as dialed in. I know we talked about it yesterday of once they are also, they've been dealing with a lot of injuries. So the latest injuries now that they're waiting on are those bench pieces of an Austin Hayes and Edmundo Sosa. They're not going to make or break the team. But we also have seen the injuries of Alec Boehm as of recent. Now he's back. You saw Kyle Schwarber has had his ins and outs. JT Realmuto, Bryce Harper, obviously. So I feel like, in addition to getting back into that healthy routine, also as the games, my hope is I don't think they could just magically turn it on, but I think that they are also, again, I think coasting is the best word. I don't want to say I'm fully concerned. I don't love the fact that their offense has been so inconsistent, because I'd love to see them, obviously, at this stretch kind of hitting a rhythm. But we know they're going to have a first round bye anyways, guys. And as apparent to what the Braves have complained about, other teams have complained about, that messes up your rhythm anyways. So I don't know. I think this season is, I kind of want to take this final stretch of, to me, most importantly, getting everybody as best as you can healthy and getting the starting pitching and the bullpen back, because I think that's what's going to be the biggest difference maker come playoff time as to how far the Phillies can go. Their bullpen and their starting pitching will be, in my opinion, what makes or breaks this team. If Bryce is there showing up consistently, if Kyle shows up consistently, if Trey shows up consistently, I have faith that as long as the pitching's doing their part and not giving up 7 runs on for 4 home runs, that they will be okay. I'm trying to talk myself into it.
To go back to your initial point, you brought up Severino, and we talked about him in the in game. His splits were pretty stark first time through the lineup, second time through the lineup. He has a 1.80 ERA the first time through. His strikeout numbers are really good. His whip is really good in that same time span. The second time through the lineup, the team seemed to get to him a little bit more. He had a 4 ERA, and the strikeout numbers were down. The OBP was up. The slugging was up 100 points. And the Phillies did just that. He was really locked in through the first time through the lineup. He had 5 strikeouts in the first 7 hitters, and then didn't strike out another hitter the rest of the game. And he ended up going 6. He gave up 3 earned. It was what is deemed as a quality start, right? He gets the win. If you look at the ERA, it's 4.5 ERA, but I thought he pitched well. I thought he pitched really, really well in the beginning, the first time through the lineup, first 3 innings. They did it. The Phillies offense did a decent job of jumping on him a little bit the second time through. We talked about the Kyle Schwarber base hit. I thought was paramount to extending the inning. I thought he kind of got into Severino's head a little bit because it was a good pitch. It was a changeup down and away. Schwarber did a nice job of staying, keeping his hands on top of the ball, staying back and kind of, taking what was given to him. He shoots it back up the middle. 2 pitches later, Trey Turner hits the home run, and you're back into the game. It's 2-2. Exactly. They did a nice job off of Severino. They also struck out 12 times. He had 5, which means over the last 4 innings, I believe it was. He had 7, excuse me. So he had 5, and then he had 2 more after that. Over the last 3 innings, because he went 6, they struck out 5 times in the last 3 innings. Diaz had 2 strikeouts. Ryan Stanek had 2 strikeouts. Reed Garrett had a strikeout. And I thought the at-bat that was kind of the tell of the final couple of innings was Brandon Marsh's at-bat against Ryan Stanek. Because we talked about Bryce Harper getting a steady eye out of fastballs. Marsh's at-bat was entirely fastballs up in the zone. And Stanek missed his spot to 1-2, sorry, 1-2, and went right back to the same pitch at 2-2 because he felt so comfortable going after him that he thought he could get him to chase again. Then it was 3-2, so he elevates a fastball a third time, this time over the plate, and Marsh swung through it. One at bat in the grand scheme of an entire game, but that was kind of felt like a turning point to me where it was all of a sudden I didn't feel like they were mounting a comeback anymore.
Yeah.
Not fair to Brandon Marsh. I understand that, but like that to me kind of flipped the switch in my brain where it went, okay, it's 9-6 or it was 10-6, I think at the time. And they were fighting and clawing and scratching their way back. That at bat and that sequence of at bats, that inning was kind of the death knell for me tonight.
No, that's fair. That's fair. And at some point we did talk even about it on the show of they're making the comeback, but at some point you're going to almost be waving the white flag and just kind of run out of time in the sense that you can only continue chasing the game for so long. And that did feel like a turning point. I know in the chat it was brought up about the amount of Ks that we're seeing. It was 12 tonight, back-to-back. The last 2 nights prior, 16 strikeouts that this team has had. It's been a lot more in this week, has been a lot of strikeouts. I don't know, to be honest, if the lack of discipline is guys chasing pitches too much, trying to make a big play, chasing pitches too much, trying to win the game in one pitch. Oh, no, not the yawn. Not a freezing while you're yawning. I don't know if anybody else it's happened to, but not a freezing while you're yawning.
Oh, no.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Because it looked like the longest yawn ever. So I think part of it is it's all correlated of this stretch of the season. You're trying to lock in playoff NL East first round bye, and guys may be getting a little bit not rattled, but undisciplined because of it. Versus just being patient. And if it means you're getting deeper into the pitch count, that's fine. You're drawing walks, you're playing singles, you're mixing it up, whatever it takes, versus a lot of strikeouts that we're seeing. That has been something that has drastically changed, unfortunately, and it's not going to get the job done. But you know what? Where you can get the job done and take care of business is our friends over at Indeed, because at Indeed, they've got all that you need. Let me tell you all about them. With Indeed, you have the opportunity to take care of hiring much better to make sure you can find quality candidates. It is really difficult in the job hiring process, regardless which side you are on, to try to find that job. It is really difficult to try to, this one hair, I swear, it's like, this is the struggle of being a female. Like the one little like bang hair that just drives you crazy because it doesn't want to join the rest of them. But bear with me here, friends. With Indeed, you can find some great opportunities, and I'll fix it while Tyler's doing his read. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly viewers. I'm just going to hold it according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast, way faster than it'll take me to read this ad. And with Indeed, they're not searching, they're matching. And they just allow you to have the process so much expedited because you're connecting with your candidates. You're also getting a chance to be able to do your interviews and your messages and stuff through Indeed, which makes it so much easier as you're working through the process. And so as you're looking for jobs, looking for candidates, Indeed is the place to go to find that spot. There have been over 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire their great talent faster. And you can too. Any listeners of the show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now. Support our show by letting them know that you heard about Indeed from this podcast here at PHLY Phillies. Again, Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions to apply. If you need to hire, you need Indeed to get rid of the busy work and be able to use Indeed for your scheduling, screening, messaging, and so much more to connect you with your candidates faster.
Yeah, when you get that inevitable job on Indeed, because it is the best place to find a job, you're going to have some extra cash, and hopefully you know how to handle that cash. And that, of course, is with our friends over at TrueMark. They are one of the premier businesses and apps to be able to use if you're going to take a road trip, because it helps you see all of your finances kind of right in the palm of your hand. You can track all of your spending on the TrueMark Financial mobile app because it allows you to access your account anytime, anywhere. So maybe you want to follow the Phils on a playoff road trip and and see if you can press your luck with getting a couple extra wins. And maybe you stay out on the road a little bit longer and you want to know exactly how your finances look. You can access your account at any time. You can easily check your balances, view your transactions, make transfers, pay bills, and a lot more with the convenience of the mobile app. And I understand in today's world where you're worried about different scams and different issues with your credit card or your finances, you can never be too sure. So being able to view your transactions and checking your balance just gives you a little bit extra peace of mind, especially when you are on the road. You never know when you get the uncomfortable nature of the unfamiliar. You want to be able to say, hey, I've got TrueMark. They've got my back. And they do a lot more than that. If you're looking to buy a home, for example, my wife and I have kind of started looking into homes and seeing what we can afford and what our processes are. But I got to tell you guys, home buying process is not simple and it's not easy. And there's a lot of things that I didn't know. So the TrueMark Financial Mortgage Specialists have been able to give me some guidance on what our loan options are, what the different terms are, what the different what our spending capacity is, what we're able to borrow based on our credit scores. And they help me save for a down payment along the way, and they'll help me budget for those unforeseen closing costs. And so they'll be with you every step of the way of the home buying process. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender. For more information, visit truemark.com/PHLY for more info.
All right. Well, I just saw Todd Zlecki actually was sharing a very eye-opening number as we're talking through here. The series opener loss to the Mets here on PHLY Phillies, presented by Bet365. There have been a lot of frustrations around the number 5 starter specifically, because of course that's been one of those areas that's like a lingering, nagging thorn in our sides that we know is not going to be a factor come playoff time, but is a factor right now. And the Phillies number 5 starters have a 1.467 ERA, 14.67 ERA in their last 8 starts. I didn't even
say that number again.
It's like so high. 14.67 ERA.
That's what I thought.
Last 8 starts. They're 2-6 in that stretch. And fortunately, though, thank goodness, I thought it was only one because I thought today was included. There's only one game left that the Phillies need a number 5 starter, which is against the Cubs back at home on Tuesday. 14.
I promise you I can give you a 14 ERA.
I know. Pay me. I'll give you a 14 ERA.
For one start, I'll do it for $20,000.
14. So I know there's a number of different things. This is what I cannot stand about losing, because now you get all these frustrating points that come out. Yes, Jose Alvarado gives up a run that does hurt them. To Adam B's point, unfortunately, that Alvarado run was kind of like the dagger as well. The number 5 starter has been hurting them. The lack of discipline at the plate has definitely been a factor with the amount of Ks they've been raking up. And now the Phillies, though, are still sitting in position as we keep trying to reiterate this point. And hopefully it'll actually happen, because we've been saying this for quite some time now, that this is the week they can go ahead and lock in that playoff position. This is the week they can go ahead and win the NL East. This is the week they can get closer to the number 1 seed. It's time to go on and do it. You have a 4-game series against the Mets. Now 3 games left. You have the Nationals. You have the Cubs. You got to go on and lock this down. We cannot. What bigger than all these issues that we're talking about to me is if we are getting into the same conversation next week of them. I mean, they'll definitely get a win.
They're making the playoffs.
They're going to make
they're making the playoffs.
No, they're going to make the playoffs. And I mean, like, they're definitely going to get a win in the next week. Sure. But my concern is, let's not continue to keep this lingering. It's a 4-game. 4 games is the magic number. Of course, there's some help in there because you are playing the Mets. You saw the Braves beat up on the Reds 15-3 today. You have a chance to go ahead and lock in the NL East, but you also have a chance to go ahead and lock in the number 1 seed. The Dodgers today, and I won't even get to the Dodgers yet because I want to get your thoughts, Tyler. But it's just frustrating because I don't want this to continue to linger. There's not a lot of games left in the regular season. Sure. Take care of business, get your toast in, do your celebration, move on from it. And now you can start. That's like one less burden on our shoulders, because right now it's weighing. There's already the questions of, is this team going to get in the playoffs and flop? Is this team ready? Are they good enough? Are they going to be an early exit? Or this, then third? Let's get rid of some of the question marks. Take care of business, win the game, lock in the playoff spot, go ahead and lock in the NL East, and stop playing around with this number 5 starter mess causing problems and every lack of discipline at the plate. It's frustrating.
You just said two things there that I think need to be separate questions. And the separate questions are they good enough and will they be an early exit? Those are two very different questions because the answer to the first question is definitively yes, they are good enough to make a deep run. The answer to the second question is I have no bleeping idea at this point because of certain inconsistencies that have, at times plagued them. Listen, they still are tied for the best record in baseball. They go 5-4. They're going to win 96 games. That would probably be good enough to get you the 2 seed at least. Milwaukee is currently 3 games back of you. They're still playing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. So they could still be 3 games back of you. I don't know what their record is or what. Oh, no, they just lost. Arizona won. So they are still 3 games back of you. If you go 5-4 in your final 9 games, Milwaukee's going to have to go 8-1 to catch you. Whether you're the 1 seed or not, I would love to be able to say they're going to host throughout at Citizens Bank Park. But to me, the priority right now is getting the 2 at the minimum to at least host the NLDS. You take your chances in the NLCS with where you get them, but 5-4 should get you to 96, which I think should basically get you to an uncatchable spot with Milwaukee specifically. So those two things are very different questions. Are they good enough? 1,000,000%. I believe that they are good enough to make a deep playoff run and make some noise in the postseason. Will they be an early exit? It's possible. I mean, it's certainly plausible. If you're going to strike out 16 times in a game, it's really detrimental to success. You're going to strike out 10 times in a game or 12 times in a game and still find a way to score 6 runs, but your pitching was not good tonight. It's a weird combination of the two. We were talking about it before the show. What do you feel like you want to rely upon, pitching or a sturdy offense? We always say the run, you need runs to win games, obviously. But I feel confident in this pitching staff as the reason as to why I think they are good enough to make a deep run.
Yeah, I know. Julian C was saying earlier, if they get swept, this would be epic. Listen, they're still in a good position.
Good, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it would not be good at all. They still are, as you mentioned, tied with the Dodgers. With the Dodgers win tonight, they are still 3 games ahead of the Brewers, who are 88-65 on the season. And that's a huge positive there. You're still in a good spot. You are, of course, still 6 games ahead of the Mets as well. So, yeah, this team has the talent. It's just we don't always know which team's going to show up. And I know there's a lot of people that can say that. Everybody can say that about their team. But it is what makes it, I think, even worse is when you have a night like tonight where you have a chance to go out, lock in the playoff spot right now, and show some more consistency, because I think that's one of the areas I know I don't like. I know, Lisa, you're saying the same thing. There's a lot of inconsistencies in so many areas within this team. And at this point in the season, you want to start to see them rounding out to be better. You want to see some of these question marks and some of these areas getting better. And we're not. And then when you look across the rest of the league and you see a night like today where you have Shohei Ohtani, who for the first time since RBI became official in 1920, became the first and only player in Major League Baseball that had a game with 10 plus RBIs, a game with 6 plus hits, a game with 5 plus extra base hits, a game with 3 or more home runs, and a game with 2 or more stolen bases. He did all of that in the same game. Nobody has actually done that in the same season. The same 162 game season, no one has accomplished. That is 5 different things that he accomplished in one game that no one has done in an entire season. So when you see that, he makes history, of course, tonight. I know we talked about in the watch along, but congratulations again to Shohei Ohtani making history to become the first player in Major League Baseball to eclipse a 50-50 season for a 6 for 6 night. Oh, here comes BC, our resident LA fan. And so I think that also, to be honest, makes it worse because you're watching the Dodgers put up 20 runs, beat the Marlins. You get all this history that's coming out of it. You watch the Braves 15-3. Now the Brewers did just lose to the Diamondbacks, but you're watching around the league now so much closer because of the playoff picture coming into fruition. because we're starting to look at the matchups of, wait, who would the Phillies play? Who do they want to play? You're starting to look at all the little details. And it feels like other teams, Tyler and friends, are trending in the right direction. And I'm not watching them nearly as closely as I am the Phillies. But I think that is also what makes it nerve-wracking. And I can understandably see it from the outside for us watching of, wait a minute, they've got the talent, but are the pieces of the puzzle coming together right now the same way that maybe the Padres or the Yankees or whatever team you want to point to are rounding out in September? That is the concern for me and I understand they're going to have hopefully have that first round bye. You're playing for so much right now, but I do get nervous of the inconsistencies and just not knowing what we're going to get from this team on any given day at this point.
I think to comp the Ohtani stat line today, you're talking about a unicorn. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about, like we said, maybe one of the greatest players to ever walk the planet. The Dodgers offense is legit. There's no question about it. Their pitching staff is troublesome for them. Tyler Glasnow suffers a setback. Now, I know Yamamoto is return. Will be ready for the playoffs, and that helps. But I don't believe I'm not troubled by their starting rotation the way that I am other teams. I think every team, there's no perfect team in baseball this year. You thought the Dodgers were going to be that perfect team. They've suffered a lot of injuries. But I don't think there is a team without flaw in the postseason. It's an exposure of whose flaws are the worst is what is kind of going to come to fruition over the next couple of days and into the playoffs. I would take the Phillies in 2 of 3 aspects of the game over the Dodgers. The issue is the Dodgers aspect that they win at pretty significantly. They have Shohei Ohtani. They have Mookie Betts. They have Freddie Freeman. That's potent, and those guys succeed. I think that in terms of comping the Phillies to other teams, I do believe they're better than Milwaukee.
We can actually kind of like run through it because Milwaukee, as we just had a chance to see them, I think they've got solid pitching. And I think it always is a very low scoring pitcher's duel, which kind of makes me nervous. But if you have to rely on the pitching, I do feel like that gives me more optimism going up against Milwaukee.
I feel they're better than Milwaukee. I feel that they have an issue with the Diamondbacks, but I think that they're a better baseball team than the Diamondbacks. The Arizona starting rotation is not particularly strong. The teams that I really would like to avoid in the NLDS are San Diego and the Mets right now, because the Mets are playing good ball. And their pitching's been really stellar. And they clearly have a formula for this Phillies offense. And again, the Phillies just took 2 out of 3 from the Mets a weekend ago. They needed some heroics. They needed some spectacular stuff. But I would say of the teams, if we're talking about better than, I think they're better than both those teams. But if we're talking about who would you not want to line up against, San Diego would be probably the big one for me. The Mets are probably in that conversation as well at this point.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, I often feel like I do feel like the Phillies have the better talent, but they're not always playing better, and they're not always showing up the same way. And I feel like the Braves, Diamondbacks, and the Mets are those 3 teams that, for whatever reason, the matchup it doesn't matter about the talent. It's about who wants it more, and I feel like the Phillies get beat out in that situation. I think the Padres are actually just a very good team, which just makes me nervous.
The way that the Diamondbacks are trending, I know they won tonight. They probably got a hangover game from the Brewers, quite frankly. The way the Diamondbacks pitching staff is trending, you're probably going to play them. If you play them in a 7-game series, you might lose a couple of 8-7 games, and then you might win a game 7-0.
Yeah,
because their pitching has just been bad recently. I know they had the issues with Paul Sewald earlier in the year. They had to remove him from the closer role. The starting rotation's been injured for a bulk of the year. Eduardo Rodriguez has missed almost the entirety of the year. Jordan Montgomery has not been the same since he's returned. Merrill Kelly was on the 60-day IL for quite some time. They don't bother me. Like there's definitely some ghosts with the Diamondbacks for sure. And we talked about it. Their lineup is potent. Don't get me wrong. But they don't bother me as much as a team like San Diego would.
Definitely. Talk about trending in the right direction. All right. So here's what we have for updates around the score as we wrap up the show here, because we've had our fun and not so much fun today with our pregame show, our watch along, and now our postgame show. And we thank you all for hanging with us for all these hours. Lisa, John Peace, BC, Barbara, Adam, Miguel, Joe, Julian, Mr. Taz, everybody that's been hanging with us today. There's so many more that were through Twitter and YouTube, constantly commenting and joining the conversation throughout. Here's some updates in terms of scores, because we are still scoreboard watching. The Guardians, who are still top of the AL, one of the top 2 teams currently, they won 3-2 over the Twins. The Orioles, who just
I think they clinched the Central today too.
Oh, yes. I actually did see that on the screen. The Orioles, who just DFA'd Craig Kimbrell and moved Sir Anthony Dominguez into their closer role. That nearly backfired because he gave up a bit. They actually had a crazy play, but they actually got out of it and still won 5-3, even though they nearly blew that lead that they had. Also, the Braves won 15-3 over the Reds. With the Blue Jays, it was a 4-0 over the Rangers. Another score to watch. Diamondbacks, as we mentioned, did win 5-1 over the Brewers. And then the Angels and Astros are still playing. And the Cubs actually squeaked out a 7-6 win over the Nationals. Pirates beat the Cardinals. Rays won the series against the Red Sox and then they won out 2-0 today to finish out the series. So time to just do some scoreboard watching or I should say continue our scoreboard watching and keep an eye on some other teams. The matchups are going to be a fun one. It's going to be interesting. We are into the final series of the season, which is crazy to even say. It's just as crazy as thinking about the fact that teams are still giving Craig Kimbrell a chance. I agree with you, BC. So because of all this excitement, we are still waiting for the Phillies to go ahead and lock in that playoff spot, lock in the NL East. But it will happen soon. It will happen soon. Game 1 of the 4-game series versus the Mets was a 4-run loss, 10-6. Taijuan Walker struggled. We know that. 7 runs given up on 4 homers and just 2 Ks on the day. Not a good showing for the pitching staff as a whole. But tomorrow's a new day. Phillies are back at it. We are back at it as well with an 11 a.m. show. So we'll be able to recap all this tomorrow morning. And we'll have Jamie back with us since he'll be off of his back-to-school night parent-teacher conference fun duties. We'll have Greg Murphy on with us as well.
He definitely had more fun than we did today.
He definitely had more fun than we did. I would love to be at a kindergarten parent-teacher conference instead of watching Taijuan Walker on the mound. But here we are. So we'll have Greg Murphy joining us as well to weigh in on the Phillies. I'm excited to get his insights as a guest on the show and a friend of the show. And hopefully we'll have all of you guys back again 11 a.m. for more here on PHLY Phillies podcast presented by Bet365, where it's never ordinary. You can use that code PHLY365 today. That'll do it for us here today because I'm running on fumes and I'm going to pass out live on this screen. For Tyler Zulli and myself, Renee Washington, as we try to pry our eyes open from the fun of all the hours and hours that started 4 is the magic number, guys. 4 games until the Phillies clinched the NL East, 4 runs they lost by, and 4 hours that Tyler and I were live on the air today with you guys around all things Phillies. So for the both of us, I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening or night or don't. I don't know. But we'll see you back here for more at 11 a.m. Bye, guys.